Alright, see if we can't find the stream. It shouldn't be too far away. We shouldn't be too far away from starting. Let's see here. Oh, go away, Discord notifications. That one. Alright, stream's up. That is an ad. What's the ad for? What the hell is that ad for? Ooh. What? Okay. That is a really silly ad. Okay. Yep, audio's working. That's good. So stream's up, chat's up, we're all good to go. It's just a patient wait for one more person, which is F1 Wogboy. He'll be joining a little bit later. As he normally does for Tier 1. He doesn't arrive on time, he's always a bit late. That should only mean that we have 13 cars for this event, which is very disappointing. Seen a few people check no for racing here at Montreal. I know one of the drivers, Bait, had trouble with connecting with EA services, connecting to his EA account, and as a result he wasn't able to race, although he was keen to. So that was unfortunate, but still it's disappointing to see a fair few drivers just not opting to race. I get it, especially after last week. That last week's race at Bahrain was a complete meltdown from several angles. Hopefully the race here in Montreal goes a bit smoother. With less drivers in the lobby, I suppose one benefit is there's less things that can go wrong, but knowing this game and knowing our current run of form, there's bound to be something that goes wrong. So I suppose we'll find out sooner or later. I'll quickly squiz the Discord, see what's going on. Yeah, it seems that we're going to have to wait a little longer, it seems. Oh, well. Hopefully this won't take us too long. Hopefully. Yeah. Say attendance is bad is a bit of an understatement. Hopefully next week's race over at Jeddah proves to be more fruitful. It tends to be one of the more entertaining racetracks to go to. I suppose that's one extra reason why a lot of people don't want to race at Montreal. It's definitely one of the trickiest circuits we go to on the calendar. So many different areas where you can trip yourself up during both qualifying and in the race. Just makes it generally unenjoyable. Well, there's a ready up call from, seems the current captain is Bags Liddell rather than Plev, so well, that makes sense. Bags is the lobby host. Alright, grab me intro, and when the screen cuts to black, we'll start the intro. We will start qualifying. Hello everyone and welcome to round 7 of the Pacific Tier 1 Championship here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this event, and tonight we'll be racing at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for the Canadian Grand Prix. Constructed in 1978 on the St. Lawrence River within the city of Montreal, this 4.36 kilometer 14-turn circuit is in the real world regarded as one of the best racetracks on the Formula 1 schedule, with 3 DRS zones that lead into the prime overtaking spots of Turn 1, Turn 8, and the famous Wall of Champion chicane at Turns 13 and 14. There are plenty of overtaking opportunities around the racetrack. Additionally, with the circuit's location and history, there's a pretty high chance of mixed weather conditions, so the drivers must stay on their toes for those changes. With the circuit being relatively short, qualifying is bound to be quite competitive, so there's a lot of positives surrounding this racetrack. Unfortunately for the drivers tonight, those positives tend to be snuffed out by the biggest negative about this circuit here in the virtual world. track limit warnings. When top drivers are pushing right to the limit, they'll try and utilise every millimetre of racetrack, but go a millimetre too far and the game will punish you. All 5 of the circuit chicanes will be major hotspots for track limit warnings, and I can guarantee you they're going to play havoc during both qualifying and in the race. But before we focus on what's happening out on track, there is a bit of news to go through. First, from last week's race in Bahrain. As chaotic as it may have been, there were no incident reports sent in by the drivers, so the final finishing positions from last week's race remain completely unchanged. In the Drivers' Championship, Big Al is leading the way on 123 points, followed by Seb in the Red Bull, who I believe is called Two Phone Baby Keem. Why I don't know why he's called that. I've got no clue, but that's Seb, I think, in the Red Bull. He's on 109 points. He is 14 behind Big Al. Next is Seb's teammate, GeForce Leo, on 93 points, followed by Spicy on 78. Rounding out the top 5 is Destiel on 76. P6 is GeForce Ford on 75, followed by GeForce Crichton on 68, Ryan Bell on 63, F1 Ferrari Pro on 52, and Darren 11 will round out the top 10 on 48 points. In the Constructors, Red Bull Racing are leading on 202, followed by Alfa Romeo on 140. Next is Ferrari on 127, followed by Mercedes AMG on 110. Rounding out the top 5 is McLaren on 98 points. 2 points behind them is Haas on 96, followed by AlphaTauri on 88, Aston Martin on 71, Alpine on 66, and completing the top 10, we have Williams on 40 points. But that's pretty much it in terms of news. We can now focus on this qualifying session. It appears we've got a fair few drivers on their outlaps getting ready for their first flying lap attempts. It appears that Sire Luke will be the first driver to try and attempt a flying lap. He's going to ride on board with the Alpine driver, give you a tour of this 4.3 kilometre racetrack. Down towards turn 1, one of the better overtaking spots on the circuit. 4th gear, heading around turn 2, short shifting up to 4th gear from 3rd gear, getting nice traction at the exit of the right-hander. Into the first chicane, turns 3 and 4. You can see how much you're able to cut through turn 3. Around turn 5, completing the first sector, heading into the second chicane of turns 5 and 6. Sorry, 6 and 7. Heading onto the back straightaway towards turns 8 and 9. Hard on the brakes here, down to 5th gear. Gently riding over the curves, keeping the car within the white lines. Heading towards the hairpin of turn 10. Braking hard at the 100 meter board, down to 3rd gear, keeping it 3rd on the exit. Heading towards the left-hand kink of turn 11. Down towards turn 12 and heading onto the Casino Straight. That little right-hand kink there, that's turn 12. Probably the most insignificant corner on the whole schedule. Through the Wall of Champions chicane, turns 13 and 14 to complete the lap. DRS open and up towards the line. The benchmark is a 1 minute 10.365. Ferrari Pro beats that by 0.4 of a second. He does a 9.9. He jumps up to provisional pole. That's beaten by his teammate GeForce 4 with a 9.6. GeForce Leo goes 3rd quickest, followed by Destiel. 3 cars in the 9.9s. Bags Liddell making his way through the middle sector, up towards the chicane of turns 8 and 9, down to 5th gear, or losing control, ending up in the barrier. You can see there the car lost all grip as he rode over the inside curb at turn 8. He clipped the wall on the exit. As a result, that will mean he won't set a competitive flying lap. Or cutting too much there, Gares, and he knows it. He'd be a bit frustrated about that. I certainly would be. It's the biggest pitfall about this racetrack during both qualifying and in the race. It's so easy to get track limit warnings. Bags Liddell will head up towards the line here and set a 1 minute 11.433. That is not representative of what he can do. We saw that incident at turn 9 where he lost a fair chunk of time. So it'll be interesting to see what he can actually do. Seems that Jinbin here is on a preparation lap. Big Al on a flying lap attempt. Heading around turn 2 and up the hill towards 3 and 4. I don't know, it looks like you're sending messages right now, ACW. Turns 3 and 4, heading around turn 5 up towards the first sector split. 19.4 to the first sector as he heads around turn 6 and turn 7. Onto the back straightaway with DRS open, heading towards turns 8 and 9. 8th gear, on the brakes hard, down to 5th gear, clipping the apexes, giving a very tidy run through the chicane. Heading up towards the hairpin of turn 10, crossing the middle sector split. Our current championship leader's got a pretty tidy lap going around the hairpin in 4th gear. It's a very common trend that I'm seeing from these top split drivers. There's no point going any lower than 4th gear around any part of any racetrack really on the calendar. Into the chicane of turns 13 and 14, back onto the main straightaway and up towards the line. Big Al will set a 9.760. He goes second quickest, currently a 10th and a bit behind current pole sitter G-Force Ford. Plevs has bailed out of this run. I believe this is Seb. We'll go with Keem for now. Heading up towards turns 13 and 14. Down to 5th gear. Or I think he brushed the wall through the wall of champions there. Shouldn't have slowed him down too much. He goes P6 just behind his teammate G-Force Leo. Plevs getting ready for a run, heading up towards the wall of champions chicane. He'll switch on the battery shortly. There we go. Head through the chicane and send it down the main straightaway. DRS open, getting as far left as possible. Try and open up this right-hand kink heading into turn 1. 5th gear through 1. Down to 3rd, short shifting up to 4th through 2. Heading up towards the chicane of turns 3 and 4. 6th gear. Back down to 5th. Back on the accelerator, keeping the car just within the white lines as he heads around turn 4. 19.5 to the first sector, a bit slower compared to Big Al. Out of turn 7 onto the back straightaway. Getting a tidy run there, climbing up through the gears into top gear. Heading into the 8-9 chicane. Cutting a lot, but getting away with it. Using plenty of curb on the exit as well. So he heads up towards the middle sector split. 41.8 to the middle sector. Or missing the hairpin by a mile there. He locked up into the corner, understeered past the apex. He rotated around the corner, but he would have lost time. Down the casino straight, heading towards the infamous Wall of Champions chicane. He'll get to the left-hand side of the track. Hard on the brakes, down to 5th gear. Skimming over both apexes, but putting it into the wall. He lost control, heading through 13 and 14. Fortunately, though, it wasn't a major accident. Wog Boy getting ready for a run. G-Force Ford out of turn 4. Heading around turn 5 up towards 6 and 7. Currently up by just under 1/10 of a second. He heads around turn 7 and onto the back straightaway. Destiel up by half a second on this lap. He's looking at a 0.4 here. Oh, but he lost so much time in the final part of the lap. His Wall of Champions chicane run did not look particularly pretty. Yeah, Destiel was up by a huge margin. So he'll be a tad bit frustrated about that, I'm sure. Down the back straightaway as G-Force Leo jumps up to pole position with a 1:09.540. What can Ford do in response? Through the Wall of Champions. Onto the main straightaway. Up towards the line. It's going to be a 9.467. He improves by just under 0.2 of a second. Big Al getting ready. Ferrari Pro getting ready. Spicy on a flying lap. Up towards the first sector. He's up by 0.08 of a second. Through. Oh, no. He lost. Oh, wow. That destroyed his car. He barely hit the wall and it destroyed the front end. Okay. He barely hit the wall. It was enough to destroy the car. How incredibly unlucky. Gaz, Spicy's teammate, is yet to set a lap time, making his way through 6 and 7. Skimming over both curbs pretty well there. Not fully utilising the width of the circuit at the exit of turn 7, but he's got a tidy run going. Just needs to make sure he can get a lap on the board. At the very least, as Wogboy does a 12.1. That's not quite competitive to what he can do. Into the hairpin here at turn 10. Fourth gear on the exit. Getting pretty tight there with the wall on the exit too. At the exit of the hairpin. Heading up towards the wall of champion chicane. Peak speed here, we're going to see 330 kilometers an hour. Heading through the chicane, getting a tidy run. No oversteer, no sliding whatsoever. And it's a 10.8, 12th fastest so far. A 10th off Plevs' time. Big Al exiting the first sector, making his way through the middle sector. Up towards the turn 8 and 9 chicane. In front of him is Ferrari Pro, also on a flying lap. He's up by 0.2 of a second to the middle sector. Oh, not clipping the apex though at the hairpin. That would have cost him a little bit of time. What about Big Al? He's up by a 10th. Into the hairpin at turn 10. He smashes the apex. Got rotation as well. Getting a tidy exit around turn 11. Ferrari Pro meanwhile heading through the chicane. Skimming over both curves pretty tidily there. Up towards the line for the Ferrari driver. It's a 9.670. It's P3 for Ferrari Pro. But what about Al, our championship leader? He'll cross the line and set a 9.588. He misses out on P2 by 48 thousandths of a second. Desiel getting ready. Jinbin down but not by much to the first sector. Down by only 21 thousandths of a second. As he heads through the chicane of 8 and 9, getting close with the track limits. Oh, getting close with the wall at the exit of turn 9. Losing control there, putting down too much power. His Williams spun round. Fortunately, his car is still running. Alright, Destiel on another flying lap attempt with 6 minutes left in qualifying. Making his way out of turn 2, up towards the chicane of turns 3 and 4. Getting on the brakes here, down to 5th gear. Using plenty of curb. Heading around turn 5 up towards the first sector split. He's down by a little bit, 76 thousandths of a second, but he knows there's time in the lap, especially in the final sector. Down the back straight away towards the 8 and 9 chicane, 8th gear, hard on the brakes, down to 5th gear, clobbering over the apexes. Getting a nice exit using the full width of the circuit. As he heads up towards the middle sector split, he's up by 29 thousandths of a second. Now, so long as Destiel gets a tidy run through the final sector, he is going to improve considerably. He might take pole position away from G-Force Ford, but he needs to make sure he gets through the wall of champion chicane without making a mistake. Hard on the brakes just before the 50 Ford, 5th gear. Getting a tidy run through, DRS open. Up towards the line for Destiel. It's a 9.423. Takes pole position away from G-Force Ford by 44 thousandths of a second. So meanwhile is on an in-lap. Jinbin is not on a flying lap. Plevs is. He's up by 34 thousandths of a second to the first sector. G-Force Wogboy, he's bailed on this run. He's going to have another go. Yellow flags ahead. That would be Sire Luke making a mistake through 8 and 9. Oh, Plevs got real close with track limits. There's Sire Luke. He'll get out of the way right here. Plevs pulls it up. Short shifts up to 4th gear at the exit of the hairpin. Around turn 11. Up towards turn 12 and onto the casino straight. DRS wide open on the Alpine, heading towards turns 13 and 14 to complete this run. He's actually going to bail on the lap. Yeah, no, I get you, Spicy, and I agree. You barely tapped that wall. From my POV, it was quite surprising that your car disintegrated like it did. But that's the game. Sometimes you can hit the wall at Mach 7 and the car remains completely intact. But you can hit the wall at 15 kilometers an hour and it completely implodes. So it's basically a roll of the dice to whether your car gets damaged or not. And unfortunately, yeah, your dice roll ended up getting a lot of damage on your McLaren. So really unlucky, mate. Best of luck for the race, though. Gez not on a flying lap. He's using his accelerator and brake at the same time to try and recharge the batteries a little bit. Gonna go for another run. He's also trying to dump fuel doing that as well. Obviously increasing the load on the engine means an increased use in fuel. So he's trying to make the car as light as possible, ready for his lap attempt. So Luke, after bailing out of this flying lap, has recharged his batteries. He's going to have another go. I'm certain with only 2.5 minutes left in qualifying. It's pretty touch and go in terms of time. I don't think, yeah, he's going to have a go here. He's going to have a genuine crack at a flying lap. Bags Liddell is out on track. Oh, no, he's not. He's actually going to bail. Okay. I thought he was warming up his tyres, getting ready, but no, he's bailed. Gerzo is not going to bail on this run. And hopefully Plebs is able to get out of the pits with Luke making his way in. 2 minutes left. It's going to be tight for Plebs. Hopefully he'll be able to get out. That's the problem with coming into the pits so late in qualifying. You might impede your teammate. Up towards the first sector split for Gers. The clock doesn't look great. Oh no. The first sector split line comes a lot earlier than I thought it was going to come. I thought he was going to do a 20 to the first sector. He's done a 19.5, which isn't too bad at all. It's up by a couple of tenths to the first sector. Through turn 8, through turn 9. Really low on fuel as well, you can tell on the telemetry. Up towards the hairpin at turn 10. He's up by 3/10 of a second. That sort of improvement, he can challenge P10, which is currently being occupied by Bags Liddell. Onto the Casino straight up towards the Wall of Champions chicane. Entry speed 331 I saw briefly there. Through the chicane. Oh, a little bit sideways on the exit. It didn't impede him too much though. It's a 10.494, 11th quickest overall. Bestial Ford, Leo getting ready. Big Al getting ready for a run here. Top 4 separated by a little over 1/10 of a second. It's incredibly tight at the top. Very, very fine margins indeed. Can Al find the time to challenge Destiel? Destiel's begun his final flying lap as well, so we'll keep an eye on these two drivers in particular. Through turn 3, 5th gear. Getting through the chicane quite well. Around the right-hander at turn 5. Up towards the first sector split. Big Al is down, but not by much, by 1/10 of a second. Destiel to the first sector is up by 1/100th of a second. Ford and Leo getting ready for their final runs. We'll keep an eye on those two as well. Up towards the next chicane for turns 8 and 9. 5th gear, getting close with track limits, but getting away with it. Up towards the middle sector split now for the Alfa Romeo driver. He's up by 62 thousandths of a second. Needs to be a fairly mega final sector for him to challenge Destiel for pole position. Out to turn 11 and down the Casino straight with DRS open, heading towards the final critical area of this racetrack, the Wall of Champions chicane. Hard on the brakes here. Down to 5th gear, clobbering over each curb. It is going to be an improvement for Big Al. Can he take pole position though? The answer is no. He does not. He stays P4. Destiel's invalidated his final run. So has Ford. So it's down to Leo to try and take pole position away from Destiel. He needs to improve by a little over 1/10 of a second. Up towards the chicane now. Hard on the brakes. Down to 5th gear. Oh, he's clobbered over the curbs. Far too much. He's ruined his run. He'll stay P3. Jinbin, meanwhile, up by 10th, using all of the curb at the exit of the Wall of Champions. Up towards the line. It's an improvement of 2/10. He stays P7 with a 9.9. Luke up by a little bit. Plebs going back into the pits, it seems. Qualifying less than ideal for Mr. Race Spec. And Wogboy has bailed on this flying lap attempt too. So it's Destiel who has qualified on pole position, even after invalidating his final run. It's a similar story though with Ford and Leo. These two also invalidated their final runs. Headset briefly disconnected there for some reason. Anyway. Big Al was able to improve. It wasn't enough though, only improving by 12 thousandths of a second. So losing a little bit of time in the final sector. So, results from qualifying. Destiel will start on pole position with GeForce Ford alongside on the front row. GeForce Leo will start P3, followed by Big Al in 4th. Ferrari Pro P5, followed by Keem in 6th. Then we have Jimbin 7th, Spicy 8th, Luke 9th, and Bags rounds out the 10. Gez P11, Ples P12, Wogboy starting from the back in 13th position. Alrighty, race time. I haven't got a weather report, so I'm guessing it's going to be nice and dry for this race. We shouldn't get any wet weather interference, otherwise I probably would have been informed about it. Bit unfortunate, really. Montreal is a very interesting racetrack when it comes to weather changes. It really can spice things up. Typically dry races here tend to be very, very straightforward, unless there's a lot of crashing. And with 13 cars in this event, there isn't going to be a lot of crashing. And as you can see as well from the screen, clear skies here in Montreal, so not a single cloud anywhere. Okie dokie, it's going to be a very dry start then for this Canadian Grand Prix. Begs the question, what are the drivers going to start on? Well, in races past, it's been a hard fest for the opening stint of the race. Everyone uses the hard compound tyre right at the beginning because it gives them an opportunity to get them up to temperature during a formation lap rather than pitting later on onto the hard tyre and then having to get the tyre up to temperature during the race. You lose so much time by doing that. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of these drivers selected the hard compound tyre. There's the clock counting down to the beginning of the formation lap. See what everyone has chosen. Everyone has fine-tuned their setups. Everyone's decided how much fuel they want in the car as well for the start of this Grand Prix. Oh, I wonder what kind of race we're going to have. As the timer reaches 0, we'll begin the formation lap. So, I'm seeing a fair few hards on the grid. Not surprising. Not surprising at all that everyone except for Gez is on the hard compound tyre. Gez, the only driver on the mediums. And actually, there might be a bit of a worry for anyone in the middle of the field. Gez is notorious for getting good starts, and he's on the grippiest tyre out of anybody. So, I reckon Gez is going to be a weapon off the line. He's going to take a fair few positions, unless this is a one time where he doesn't get a good start. In which case we can get rid of the tyre graphic. In fact, we probably don't need any detail graphic just yet. Wait for the laps to tick on by and we'll start bringing up the details later on. Destiel from pole position on the hard compound tyre. G-Force Ford will do the same. These two had a pretty epic duel on the final lap of the Bahrain Grand Prix, where G-Force Ford ended up pulling off one of the almightiest of sends that I have ever seen in my commentary career. It was insane heading into the opening corner of Bahrain International Circuit on the final lap. It was absolutely fantastic. So I have a feeling I know what to expect between the top two here tonight at Montreal. But Destiel, where are you lining up? Are you lining up on the outside? Or the inside? Alright, so it's the inside for turn 1. Okay, yep, fair enough. You can see as well from the tyre marks that the outside run is actually the cleaner side of the racetrack. Ford on the dirtiest side of the racetrack, but if he can get a nice run off the line and keep it around the outside of Destiel at turn 1, he'll have the inside line at turn 2, which is definitely the dominant position to be in heading through turn 2. Alrighty then, all 13 drivers are now lined up, ready to go. We've got 35 laps here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Got 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights. We are underway here in Montreal. It's a nice start from Destiel. It's a nice start from Ford. It's a mega start from Big Al. He looks down the inside of Destiel, heading down towards turn 1. Destiel keeping the inside line, heading around turn 2. He should keep the lead. He does. Big Al, what a great start though. Up to P2. Ford down to 3rd. Leo down to 4th. As we head through the chicane at 3 and 4. Contact and spinning. Jinbin's around. Oh, and so is the McLaren of Gez. Oh, dearie me. An incident right at the beginning of this race through turns 3 and 4. Hopefully none of those guys have damage. Destiel maintaining the race lead. Big Al in second. Bit of changing of position further back after the drama at 3 and 4. Got a leading pack forming already. Al close. Oh, deep on the brakes too. Got real close to the back end of that Haas. Two Red Bulls looking pretty solid in P3 and 4. Ferrari Pro leave down to P6. Yeah, he's lost a position from the start. Luke up 2, Plevs up 4, Bags up 1, Wogboy up 3. Jin Ben, Spicy and Gez, the two McLarens getting tossed up in that incident at 3 and 4. Now last and second last. King looking for a move, can't fully commit though as Spicy pits in. Well, it's gone from bad to worse then for Spicy after qualifying. Really unfortunate. Yeah, I wasn't expecting too much action through 3 and 4 on the opening lap. I would have thought everyone would get through it. Jinbin spins at turn 2, bringing out yellow flags. But no, had a shunt heading into turns 3 and 4. Somewhat reminiscent. I think it was 2017 where there was a similar shunt on the opening lap in the real life Grand Prix. I think it was 2017 when it happened. Could have been 2018. I think it was 17. Out of turn 10. Heading around turn 11. And on to Casino Straight. Al buried in the slipstream, closing the gap up to the race leader. Don't think he'll go for a move here at the Wall of Champions chicane though. He will stay behind. Clobbering over the curbs. Big Al not using anywhere near as much curb compared to Destiel in the Haas. You can see that Big Al's got pace. He's got real pace right now. DRS is now enabled as well. It's lap 3 of 35 here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Still got an awfully long way to go. Whoa! Destiel getting real comfortable with the wall on the outside at turn 4. See the other drivers giving a decently wide berth. But Destiel, he was real close to that thing. A lot of risk for very little reward. You can see though Destiel starting to pull away. He's got 7 tenths now over Big Al. But Big Al's going to close in here thanks to the power of DRS. Heading around the hairpin at turn 10 and around the left-hand kink at 11. They'll head onto the straightaway. Al will open DRS and close the gap up to the race leader. It's now 3.5 tenths behind, 3 tenths, 2.5 tenths, 2 tenths heading into the Wall of Champions chicane. Top 3 close together here, heading down the main straightaway towards turn 1. Al's close, but he will not go for a move. Wogboy overtakes Bags Liddell as well. I think Bags made a mistake at the exit of the Wall of Champions and let Wogboy through. Thanks to that mistake. Oh, cutting onto the grass there, Big Al. Using every millimetre of racetrack. It's what this circuit demands of you. But if you use a millimetre too much, it will punish you. This track is all about big risk and little rewards. Those little rewards in a field as competitive as this really do matter. Down towards turn 10. Pulling up nicely into the hairpin. Ford lingering behind, so is Leo, he's there. Same with his teammate Keen. Ferrari Pro hanging on to the back end of the leading train. Luke is a bit too far behind to get any DRS assistance. Through the chicane. Oh, Leo getting close with the wall there. Oh, so is Luke as well. Could see it in the background of that shot. Bags Liddell is in the pit lane, so evidently that incident at the World Champions must have given him damage. Made his way into the pits for a front wing change. He'll probably be battling Spicy as soon as he leaves the pits. Destiel out in front. Driving tidily right now. Big Al is not letting him go though. 40, just minding his own business in third right now. Oh, getting close with track limits through turn 9. See how much these guys have to use to remain competitive. It's insane. But you know full well when you get that close to those limits, it's so easy to get warnings. Oh, a huge tank slapper from Ford there. An awesome catch though. Prevents him from going into the wall. But he's lost a considerable amount of time to the top two. Through the chicane and onto the main straight. Could close back up again on the top two. Within 8 seconds of Big Al, who's still on the back of Destiel. Through turn 3. Into turn 4. Whoa, that wasn't a great run there for Al. Losing time. He lost about a 10th to Destiel. Still within range, which is the most important thing. He's within DRS range. Oh, as Bags and Leo get 3-second time penalties for multiple warnings. The first for the night, and I can guarantee you folks, it won't be the last time we'll see those penalties pop up. Down towards turn 10. Hard on the brakes. Pulling it up nicely. The top two driving well. 40 losing time. Does he have DRS here? No, he does not. He's going to lose touch to the top two, it seems. Back within a second, but he has no DRS assistance here. Big Al, a 3-second time penalty. Getting that through the wall of champion chicane. He's the third driver to get such a time penalty. Leo low on battery, on 6%. His teammate not doing much better on 16, now up to 18. Ferrari Pro much the same, but that is expected. Ferrari Pro is notorious for dumping his battery. He does it a lot. 40 doing well with the battery though, 48, 46%. Big Al the same, and Destiel has the most overall. He's on 89%, which is fairly remarkable considering he is leading this race. Cars behind have DRS assistance and they're using up more battery. Down towards a hairpin at turn 10. Not a bad run there from Ford. You could see tarmac between himself and the curb there, so you could always get closer to the apex. With the DRS assistance down this long casino straight. Can ease off just a little bit. Gather himself up and catch up. Oh, to the top too. As GeForce Leo had a huge moment out of the wall of champions. Caught it well. But it means he's now 1.5 seconds behind GeForce Ford. The gaps are starting to spread here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. We're entering that mid-phase of the race where we're not going to see a great deal of action. Everybody's a bit too far spread out right now. Oh wow! A huge loss of control for GeForce Ford. He's thrown away a third. He tumbles down to 6th, 7th. Here comes 8th position with Plevs. Oh my goodness me. He lost control, tried to gather it back up, and it sent him into a spin. Tumbles down to 8th position. Gee whiz. Now it's just a dogfight between the top two as Keane gets by Leo. Leo just let him by, or did he make a mistake? I'm not sure. So Keane now up to 3rd place. Big Al keeping the fight alive at the front between himself and Destiel. Both drivers have been using battery. They're down to 46 and 27% respectively. Well, I'm sure Ford's in frustrated mode after that spin. I suppose he should consider himself fortunate that the car looks pretty undamaged. He'll be able to keep his head down, try and attack the drivers in front, try and get back up through the field. It's going to be a tough ask though. How competitive this field is. First target will be Plevs as Spicy sets a new fastest lap with a 12.7. Down the back straightaway towards turns 8 and 9. It's close to Plevs, but nowhere near close enough to try and attack the Alpine driver. Plevs just missing out on some DRS assistance here, and he probably wouldn't mind a bit of it. Try and keep himself in this fight. 40 here will get DRS. Battery switched on, closing the gap. Nowhere nearby enough. Oh, no, surely not. Yeah, big lift into 13 through 14. Really tidy run there. Absolutely perfect. And here comes Ford. Down the inside, heading into turn 1. And he'll get through into 7th position. Still got a long way to go, though, to get back up to 3rd. Top 2 separated now by 8.5 tenths of a second. Al doing everything he can to stay in this battle. Oh, through the chicane. You have to be so very careful with those limits. So easy to go over them. It actually cost him a little bit of time with how steady he went through that chicane. Lost about half a tenth to Destiel through there. He's going to gain that back though down the straightaway with DRS. 2 Red Bulls. Half a second separating them as they head down the Casino Straight. Ferrari Pro in 5th position now. He's the leading Ferrari. 40 though on the recovery drive. He has Luke in his sights. Into the Wall of Champions. 4th gear through the chicane. Up to 5th on the exit. 40 closing in with the power of DRS. Scares a 3-second time penalty. Through turn 1. Into turn 2. Down to 3rd gear. Up to 4th gear on the exit. Right in the slipstream here. Heading into turns 3 and 4. Chucking it over the curbs. Oh, almost losing it again. 40's got a loose car. His car is seriously loose. It's got no rear end grip at all. He is fighting this thing left and right. Yellow's out. It's Plebs. He's backwards. He's now forwards again. He's down to 11th. Oh dear. Might be a double blow for Alpine because 40's right on the back of Luke. And Luke, but frankly, won't be able to do much to hold off Ford. DRS, bit of battery as well. We'll get by Luke with relative ease down the Casino Straight. Get him before the braking zone into the Wall of Champions. Or Luke understeering wide at 13. Probably got a track limits warning at turn 14, I wouldn't doubt. 2 Red Bulls changing positions again. Leo gets back in front of Keane. Now, Ferrari Pro up in 5th. He's been maintaining that 1.5 second gap. I don't think he's been able to close in as Luke gets a 3-second time penalty. Ford will close in on his teammate. Gers gets a 3-second time penalty. Big Al trying to put pressure on the race leader. Guess you're still with a bit more battery, 54% compared to Big Al's 40. Both drivers have a plentiful supply, so it should be an interesting battle at the front. I think Big Al, though, is in a mind of conservation to try and not push too hard too soon. Just to stay with Destiel, let the laps tick over, and then when we get closer to the checkered flag, we'll try and battle the race leader a little bit more. Down the main straightaway towards turn 1. Leo in 3rd, Keem in 4th. Then the 2 Ferraris. 40, can he close in on his teammate? 1.9 behind, 2 seconds behind. Got a bit of work to do. The rest of the field is pretty well spread out by this point. So the only battles we've got is between the 2 Red Bulls and the top 2 of this race. With this man, Destiel, leading the way. Has led every lap so far after qualifying on pole position. Big Al got a pretty decent start. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to get Destiel through turn 2. It's meant that Destiel has maintained the lead since the very beginning of this race. The other doing everything he can to keep within a second and keep this fight alive. Meanwhile, Ford has closed in by a couple of tenths on Ferrari Pro. He's not making huge inroads, but he's making inroads nonetheless. Seven tenths separating the top two, 6.5. 0.29 extra fuel in Big Al's Alfa Romeo. You can see that on the left-hand side of the screen. Gers pits in, getting off the mediums and onto a set of hards. He'll go to the end of the race on those. Thanks Adele towards the back of the field, just trying to finish. With the lack of numbers tonight, it means that everyone who finishes will score points. Down towards turn 10. 8 tenths still separating the top two. Exiting a fourth gear. You don't see that in real life, but you see it here in the game. Being nice and steady around the hairpin, utilising fourth. Because that's how this physics engine works. It's very strange. I give credit to Ferrari Pro. He's putting the hammer down. He's caught up a little bit to the two Red Bulls in front. He's pulled away from his teammate a little bit too. So 40... he's either made a mistake that I haven't picked up on, or he just doesn't quite have the pace to try and close up to his teammate. And considering what I've seen so far with this particular Ferrari, the car is loose. Car is really, really loose. In fact, I might have a quick squiz at tyre temps, so turn off the telemetry. So he's got fairly average temps, like low 90s all round. So he's not got a tyre temp problem, it's just how the setup works. It's got a very loose rear end. He's trying to get as much rotation out of the car as possible, which is understandable considering the nature of several of these corners. There's a lot of sharp responsive corners. They're not very progressive like on other racetracks, like at a Silverstone, for example. Got a lot of progressive corners. Here at Montreal, there's a lot of sharp corners. You need a really sharp steering response in order to get in towards the apex, and then you need a sharp counter response to get through the next corner. So it's quite understandable that you need a fairly sharp front end and a loose rear end to get that rotation. Ford into the pits just before the halfway mark, and he's bolting on a set of mediums now. I reckon he's going to try and go to the end on those. Be a bit of a tall order though. His tyres are bound to be shot by the end of the race. We'll see what he can do though. Something he feels he needs to do considering the situation he's currently in. Down towards turn 10. Hard on the brakes. Down to fourth. Eventually reaching full throttle just before the kink at turn 11. Half a second between these two. When do they pit? Getting close to the halfway mark. They're both staying up for another lap as Big Al gets another time penalty. He now has 6 seconds next to his name. He can't afford those time penalties. They'll hurt him in the long run. Especially if we have a late race safety car. So Luke in the pit lane will be moving on to a set of mediums. Getting very comfortable with that Crypto.com wall at the outside of turn 4. Here's the two Red Bulls still maintaining position. Red Bull duo looking very, very solid in the Constructors right now. They're leading the Constructors by a decent enough margin over, I believe, Alfa Romeo, as Gers gets a time penalty. It's no wonder why the Red Bulls are doing so well. Leo and Seb have been performing incredibly well. Still not sure, but I'm pretty certain that's Seb. He did check in to race for Red Bull. I'm just guessing he's going under a different name right now. 2 leaders staying out for another lap. Down the main straightaway they go towards turn 1. They begin another lap. Lap 18 of 35. We're closing in on the halfway mark here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Ferrari Pro is in. Off the hards. Onto the mediums. And away he leaves. Wogboy and Jinbin will be coming through. Next will be GeForce Ford and Plebs. Will Ferrari Pro be in front of his teammate? I don't think so. Be close? Not close enough. Ferrari Pro loses a place to his teammate. Now has a little bit of traffic in the form of Plebs to try and deal with. Needs to get his tyres up to temperature first though. Take about half a lap to do so. Two leaders minding their own business right now. They've got a huge margin for the cars behind. Doing exactly what they need to do. Minus Big Al's 6 seconds worth of penalties. It's really going to hurt. Tidy run out of the wall of champions. Al close. Not close enough. Yellow's out. Bags Liddell is out of the race. Crashing out at the exit of turn 9. Yellow flags in the sector. And a safety car has been deployed. It took forever, but it's out. At the halfway mark in this Grand Prix, we have a safety car. Liddell crashing at the exit of turn 9 has completely changed the complexion of this race. Everyone will be pitting, and I mean everyone will be pitting for new tyres. You cannot miss out on the opportunity to box for new tyres. You got to do it. How about that? This is probably the most important race-defining moment for this Canadian Grand Prix. Change up everything, and now penalties. They'll start to play a bigger part. Into the pits go the top two. And Destiel gets a drive-through for speeding under the safety car. The Delta's popped up and he was given a drive-through. Oh my goodness me. That has ruined Destiel's race. A drive-through penalty. Yeah, he's got it right there. Bring it up. There it is. Drive-through. Potentially. He was trying to take as much time as possible. Coming out of the pits, oh, that's tight. And Keane will win that battle between himself and Ferrari Pro. He was probably pushing hard to try and get as much time as possible. You don't really need to. It's a safety car period, so... yeah, I'm a bit lost on that one. Well, Destiel's got a speeding penalty that he will have to serve. He can't do anything about this. He will have to serve this. If he doesn't, he gets disqualified. What a tremendous blow for the man who has led every single lap of this race. Yeah, potentially ACW. Of course, if any more drivers, including those two, get time penalties, it will change the complexion of the race dramatically. Right now, I agree that Ford and Keane are in the hot seat to try and win this thing. So is Ferrari Pro and P6. But of course, if any of these guys get a time penalty, this whole race will turn upside down for them. Haven't seen that all too often. The race leader getting a drive-through penalty for a safety car infringement. A speeding infringement. And I don't know if he'll be able to serve that on the restart. I think he might have to do a lap and then serve it. I'm not totally sure. So we'll have to wait and see what Destiel does. We're still waiting on Spicy to catch up. And this is something that Spicy desperately needed after what happened on the opening lap, after what happened during qualifying. He needed a break. This is the break he was looking for. He's on hard tyres though. That's his only drawback. He is on the hard compound tyre. Everyone else is on the mediums. But so long as he survives, more than anything, he will score at least a handful of points. Better than nothing, I'd say. The safety car will come in this lap. It will be a late call, I think, from the safety car. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yep, there it is. They even timed it perfectly. Come on, I'm just that good. So a late call from the safety car. It's now down to Destiel to back up the field, allow the safety car to go back into the pits, and I'm not sure what he's going to do. I'm guessing he would have to lead a lap. I think he'll be able to serve it straight away. Alright, let's see what he does. He takes off, heads through the chicane. Yeah, I didn't think he was going to be able to serve it on this lap. Alrighty then, we're back on the green flag racing. Gilles gets a time penalty. It's now lap 22 of 35 here in Montreal. Destiel will try and push as hard as he can, try and pull away, try and minimise the damage that drive-through is going to do. Chucking it through the chicane. Around turn 5, up towards turn 6 and 7. Gap at 1.3 seconds already. Destiel is pushing hard, dumping battery. Through the chicane of 8 and 9. Pulling away some more. G-Force Leo, G-Force Ford. Separated by half a second heading into the hairpin. Ferrari Pro just behind this battle as well. This is going to get interesting between this pack. Destiel, I would think, would come in to serve that drive-through. Yep, in he comes. Or does he pull it up? No, he doesn't. That's a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Just to rub some extra salt into the wound. I can say he was going in hot into the pits. Really forcing it in there. He's giving himself 5 seconds for his woes. Through the chicane of 3 and 4. Tidy run there, using a little bit of battery on the exit. Ferrari Pro in the groove. Keem doing well. Ford, Leo, and race leader Big Al. He's got clear track in front of him. He's got a license to push. How hard is he gonna push? And look at the damage of what the drive-through has done. To be honest, this is probably the best racetrack in the world to get a drive-through penalty. One of the shortest pit lanes on the calendar. Doesn't help with the 5-second penalty though. Won't be the easiest field to cut through either. Through the wall of champions, onto the main straightaway. 0.8 of a second separating the top two. Make that 8.5. As we begin lap 24, DRS is now enabled. Exiting turn 2. Heading up towards the chicane. To seeing that 40's in with a shot to win this thing is remarkable. Something I definitely did not see coming. Purely because of the safety cars, Destiel, in his efforts to try and catch up, has given himself a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Through 8, into 9. Heading towards the hairpin at turn 10. None of these guys are quite close enough to battle just yet. All a bit too far apart right now. They're down towards the Wall of Champions chicane. Well, boys, close. Not close enough, though. Luke has dumped all of his battery through the chicane. Getting it through tidily. Wogboy with a bit of battery to spare is closing in on the Alpine. Jinbin in P8, Plevs 9th, Gears 10th, then Spicy. Destiel on the back of this now. 1 minute 11.717. The lap of that he's just done. Fastest lap of the race so far. Big Al's got 1.1 seconds now to G-Force Leo. Leo's losing touch of the race leader. 40 is closing in here. Destiel and Spicy battling for position through turn 7. Spicy wins the battle for now. But Destiel's coming back at him to try and win the wall. Can't do it though into turn 8. He'll stay behind the McLaren, heading towards turn 10. Destiel's going to get hard on the brakes here. Oh, not close enough to go for a move though. He'll utilise DRS, he'll get by here. Wogboy's done the same, it seems. Destiel into 11th. Wogboy into 6th. Onto the main straightaway. Driver's getting real comfortable, getting close to that wall. Here comes Jinbin. Down the inside into turn 1. It's tight, there's contact and spinning! Goes Luke, oh dear! Just a little bit of contact, but it was enough. Luke was sent round at turn 1. Tumbles down to 12th place. Jinbin down to 9th with that incident too. Tried to force the issue down the inside, didn't quite pull the car up enough. Made contact with Luke. Cost him time, cost Luke even more time. Sure he'll be very, very impressed with all of that. Six tenths, 5.5 tenths, heading into the hairpin here at turn 10. Ford with pace. Leo with pace as well. Leo, he might not have DRS, he might not have battery, but he's still 1.1 seconds behind Big Al. 40 needs to find a way by soon as Destiel gets by Jinbin. That is for P9. Down towards turn 1. 40 not going for it just yet. Into turn 2. So shifting up to 4th gear. Destiel new fastest lap in 11.684. Through turn 3 into turn 4. Getting close with the wall. Through turn 6 into 7. Onto the back straight away. There's Keen. Hovering behind, enjoying the view probably. Doesn't have a lot of battery to try and fight the two in front. But I'd reckon you just get the popcorn out and enjoy the show. That's all you got to do. You're in a really solid position in terms of penalties and in track position. Really no need to push. Just let the guys in front do all the hard work for you. That's the tactic I tend to use when I'm racing. But it works some of the time. Doesn't work others though. 40 again close, but not close enough. DRS open. Closing in, down towards turn 1. Closing, but not going for the move. He'll stay behind. Here comes this 3-car fight as Gears pulls over, rolls out the red carpet, and lets Destiel through into P8. Gears will move down to P9. As Gears also gets overtaken. Oh, he makes a mistake out of turn 2. Had a bit of a spin, it seems. He drops down to 12th. There's your leader. Is 2nd and 3rd making their way through the chicane. With 4th just behind. Plevs in P7 here. Doesn't have a lot of battery to try and defend. Neither does Destiel, but Destiel's got pace. Showing that off with the fastest laps he's set. It was an 11.6, wasn't it? The fastest lap? Yes, an 11.6. That is 2 and a bit tenths quicker than the next fastest car. Down towards turn 13, down the inside, he'll look, gets in front. Wogboy gets a time penalty. Ooh, those two drivers getting close to the wall of champions. Destium though moves up to P7 with that overtake. His next target will be G-Force Wogboy. Sector 3 yellows, that's slow moving Gilles. Don't know why he was slow moving, he was entering the chicane. Onto the back straight away. Big Al maintains the lead. Leo maintains second. Ford maintains third. Through the chicane here. Up towards the hairpin. Suppose from Ford's position, the only car he would really have to worry about is Keem in P4. Keem, of course, no time penalties next to his name like G-Force Ford. Can Big Al pull out a big enough gap? He's got 2.3 seconds to 40 right now. Gaz gets another time penalty, increasing his total to 15 seconds. Meanwhile, Wogboy under pressure from Destiel, who looks to the inside but does not commit to a move at turn 13. So he's got to move here. Over speed, and he gets by with ease. Heading into turn 1. Now P6 for Destiel. Got a bit of closing up to do to catch up to Ferrari Pro in 5th. Quite the recovery so far. Keem applying pressure to Ford. Ford maintaining 8 tenths between himself and G-Force Leo. So he's giving himself DRS, but he's leaving himself vulnerable to Keem. Keem can find a way by. Challenge for the race lead. But importantly to mention as well, if Keem and Ford do battle, there's a chance that Big Al might be able to win this race, depending on how hard Ford and Keem battle one another. Fordy's dropping away too. He's using up some battery here to try and close up. Leo's got no battery left. The gap has increased to 2.7, 2.8 seconds between Ford and Big Al. Yellow's out, it's Gaz spinning. That is at the exit at turn 9. Loses control again and puts it into the wall, damaging his front wing. Get moving again. Go into the pits and get that car fixed. .1 seconds now between the top two. Leo driving well. 40 doing all he can. Same with Keem, Ferrari Pro. Just hovering behind, 2.9 seconds behind, but he's going to have company soon. Destiel has closed in rapidly. Yellow's out. Gaz at the wall of champions. Retires in the pit lane. We're down to 11. That was a guaranteed points finish, and he's left. There you go. With 4 and a bit laps to go. That's a bit of a moment there from Destiel. Still closing in on Ferrari Pro though. Gap still at 2.8 seconds between Al and Ford. Ford trying to close in on Leo a little bit. But I'm guessing his thought process right now is to not get a time penalty. Stay behind Leo. Don't make mistakes. Don't overcook the tyres. Just get to the end without getting a time penalty. I have a feeling that's his mindset right now. He knows he doesn't have to push 10 tenths to try and beat the two drivers in front. He can afford to drive smartly. As I mentioned before, his biggest worry in the form of Keem, still applying pressure to the back of the Ferrari. Keem's gotten close, but not quite close enough to try and challenge a defending series champion. They're still closing in. Plevs a 3-second time penalty. That's uncharacteristically unlike Plevs. Don't usually get too many time penalties, but he's got one tonight. Here comes Destiel to the outside, heading towards the wall of champions. Ferrari Pro won't fight that. He knows that he's got the position back anyway, thanks to the time penalties next to Destiel's name. So won't be too worried about that. Seven and a half tenths, 8/10 of a second separating Leo and Ford, increasing to almost a second now. Leo doing all he can to try and pull away from Ford, give his teammate a chance for a race win. Down the back straight away towards turn 8. The gap shrinks again, back down to 7/10 of a second. Ford increases through the chicane, but Ford stays within that critical 1 second range. Meanwhile behind, Wogboy has got a bit of pressure behind from Plebs and Jinbin, and they all have 3-second time penalties. They're in a genuine fight for position at the end of this race, unless of course one of them gets another time penalty. Through the chicane, turn 13 and 14. DRS open on Fordy's Ferrari, keeping the Red Bullet of Keane at bay. Now 2 laps to go here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Lap 34 of 35. Oh, a bit of a moment there from Leo at the exit of turn 2. Wogboy under pressure from Plebs. Jinbin is involved as well. Plebs a bit of a tank slapper on the exit. Jinbin not close enough to capitalise into turn 3. Out of 4. Oh, Jinbin! He had a spin, and that's a reset to track, I believe, as well. Saw that car just randomly snap itself back forward. Yeah, that's a big, big no-no. As I think a lot of people know in the world of league racing, you're not meant to reset the track ever. Alright, on to the casino straight for the second last time. Fordy just needs to keep his car straight. He knows it. His rivals know it. He's out of battery, but so is Keane. They're both low. They're both tiptoeing their way through the chicane as Destiel gets another penalty, increasing his total to 11 seconds. It's now the final lap, lap 35 of 35 here in Montreal, of what has been a very up and down race. Little random moments, bits and pieces of drama. And to have an unexpected race winner, especially after what happened earlier in this Grand Prix. Jinbin gets another 3-second time penalty. Big Al is giving himself an opportunity to try and finish on the podium here. He's now 3 seconds in front of GeForce Leo. And he pulls away out of the hairpin too. Or maybe not. It's going to be tight between Al and Leo. It's going to be real tight here. But Big Al, he's driven well. But those penalties have come back to bite him, and bite him hard. He'll be the first driver to cross the finish line to take the checkered flag. But victory is not his. It'll be GeForce Ford who wins the Canadian Grand Prix. Keane will come home in a brilliant second. And Big Al will complete the podium places in third, only just though by 61 thousandths of a second. P5 goes to F1 Ferrari Pro, Plebs P6 followed by Wogboy and Destiel. What an up and down race. So much pace in both qualifying and here in the main event. Led a considerable amount of laps, but one misjudgment unraveled everything. He finishes in P8. Plebs was given driver of the day for his efforts. We'll see his results very shortly, but first, hopefully we get the podium celebrations, and we shall. Another victory for GeForce Ford. Quite the shocking one, especially after what happened during that race, having that huge spin at turn 7. He recovers to take victory here in Montreal. P2 goes to Keen, P3 to Big Al. The unofficial results of the Canadian Grand Prix. GeForce Ford is our race winner, with Baby Keem, who I still believe that's meant to be Seb. I'm not sure though. We'll go with Keem for now in second. Big Al third. GeForce Leo fourth, followed by Ferrari Pro in fifth. Plez P6 after starting from 12th. Wogboy from P13 finishes 7th. Destiel from pole position will end up finishing 8th. And he doesn't even take fastest lap. That's given to Sire Luke. P9 goes to Spicy, followed by Jin Bin, then Luke. And our 2 retirements, Gaz and Bags Liddell. Liddell being the more important retirement of the 2, as his crash at turn 9 completely turned the race upside down. Now, a little bit of information for people still watching. Recently, there was an implementation for PlayStation that you're now able to hook up Discord parties onto your PlayStation, which when I first heard of it, I thought this was going to be a major breakthrough for our PC players. But there's a problem, especially on my end. It's not an issue for PC players streaming, but it is an issue for me streaming from PS5. None of their audio comes through. You can hear my audio just fine in a Discord party, but none of their audios comes through. I'm guessing that's because here on PlayStation there's permissions you need to tick off in order for other people's audio to come through and be broadcasted onto the stream. So I know Plev's put in a message saying that, you know, you'll be able to hop into the comms box and do interviews. It don't work, unfortunately, and I haven't really found anything to make it work, which really sucks. Because I really want to get the PC guys in here and have a chat, but yeah, I'm afraid the breakthrough with Discord hasn't bared any fruit, unfortunately. So the only driver we'll be able to talk to is our race winner. So I'll be back in the bed. I'll invite 40 in. We can have a chat about what the hell happened in this race. I did select it, didn't I? Just make sure the audio is just fine. That's better. Oh, just wait for 40's audio. There we go.
There we go.
It takes a little while. I've no idea why the audio takes so long to load up, but anyway.
Right. It gets there. My voice is on share. Yep, we're sweet.
Well, I was hoping that we could make this Discord update work for us, but it doesn't seem to work for...
Party sharing doesn't work, hey?
No, the audio coming from the party doesn't get transferred through into the stream.
Yeah,
it's fine for PC players streaming and picking up PlayStation audio.
Right, so that's weird, eh?
But on I'm guessing it's because on PlayStation there's permissions you have to tick off in order for other PlayStation users to have their audio broadcasted onto a stream.
Yeah,
and I'm guessing with PC they don't have those permissions, so any audio can get broadcasted through. So I'm afraid you're the only person I'll get to chat to.
It's alright, that's not too bad, right?
Oh, well, you ended up winning the damn race. How do you feel after an event like that?
It was a pretty undeserved win, I think, but hey, kept it clean, I guess, finally. No pens. So...
No pens, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was seriously an up and down race for you, to say the least, I reckon. Because I saw a few things happening with you, and it looked very interesting from my point of view. First thing first, though, qualifying, how did that go for you?
I think point fours were like my PB in a bit of practice before this, so I did a point four in the session. I stuffed up the last run, which was a shame, but I think everyone else did as well, so I wasn't alone there. But yeah, front row, I did enough, I think. Would have been nice just to get that little bit more off the pole, but yeah, P2 is still good.
Decent start as well off the line. Big Al got a slightly better one than you though, and kept you from attacking Destiel through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah. That was a little bit frustrating because I probably would have had that better run on the inside, but Destiel was a bit compromised due to his entry into turn 2. But yeah, P3, as long as you kind of up with those guys, I'm not too stressed really because the race comes to you anyway.
Fair enough. And you were certainly there with those two, Big Al and Destiel, for some time, but then pace just started to drop off. What was happening from your end?
I think it was just the tyre wear. The hards started getting worse and worse, to be fair, and that's probably when my spin happened.
Interesting.
I was just pushing probably a little bit too hard. The gap was sort of sitting around that 7th, 8th, 10th mark, which was I was honestly quite comfortable with that, just staying in that DRS. But yeah, I guess maybe I just tried to close the gap up a little bit, and that's when the spin came. So yeah, that was very frustrating, not going to lie. And then the laps after that until my pit stop were, yeah, it just didn't feel good. I was still gaining time, but it just felt like I wasn't gaining as much as I probably could have been.
Fair enough. One of the things I did check were tyre pressures to see if you had overheating tyres, but they seemed to be just fine. You were averaging low 90s on all four corners of the car when I checked, so that seemed okay. Did you think you might have had a really taily setup here at Montreal?
Yeah, no, it was a slidey setup, that's 100%. But then again, like, I'm not going to blame that for my spin. That just comes down to driver error, I think, and probably pushing the car a little bit over its limit. But no, the setup was good. I was happy with it, and it was fast in quality, which got me the front row, I guess. So yeah, I'm not going to blame that on my setup.
Fair enough. But yeah, no, that safety car came in pretty clutch for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think at first I was kind of disappointed because I was going to jump the Red Bulls based on being on my mediums for an undercut. But yeah, it obviously came out, and I didn't realise that Big Al had 6 seconds, and then Destiel got a drive through. So yeah, after that I was kind of set for just the race win, and I knew if I kept it clean, I was already on 2 warnings by the time the safety car came out, so I still had about 15 or 16 laps to keep it on the track. But yeah, thankfully we did that.
It's the worst feeling in the world, isn't it, knowing you've got 2 warnings in your back pocket, and it's like, if I make one damn mistake, it's done, it's over.
Yeah, well, it's a shame because you want to really like drive hard and try and make overtakes and things like that. But for the situation I was in, I just didn't need to. And you don't like saying that, but I guess when you want to win a race, I did all I needed to, I suppose. But yeah, it's a bit of a shame that that's how it ends. But I think probably Big Al deserved it today, or Destiel, but Leo drove quite well as well. His pace was up there, so yeah, I think any of those guys probably had the pace to go on and win it. It's just a shame those penalties came through.
Yeah, that's Montreal for you. It's just that kind of racetrack. As I mentioned a long time ago, you guys push right to the limit. You'll utilise every millimetre of racetrack that's given to you. And the trouble is with a racetrack like Montreal, if you go just that little bit too far, that millimetre too far, the game will punish you. So the margins are so fine, but you need to be at those margins in order to be competitive. So those time penalties, especially if there's a safety car, end up playing a huge part in the race. But yeah, it sort of reaffirmed what I was thinking on your end, just trying to keep the car within the white lines. You had the gap in hand to both Al and Leo to make sure you would pass them thanks to the penalties. And you ended up doing it. So congratulations on your effort. Very unexpected win after what happened earlier.
Completely opposite to last week, I think, in terms of excitement. But as I said, probably an undeserved win, but it's a win nevertheless. We take that.
Next week, mate, we're heading over to Jeddah, Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Sprint round as well. Now, the last time we raced at Jeddah Ford, you did a oopsie that almost cost you a championship. So, how do you feel heading into next week's race?
Nah, I like Jeddah. I think that mistake was hopefully a massive one-off. Hitting the wall on the safety car, but nah, I like my pace there. I think last season I was 5/10 clear in quali. So yeah, hopefully we can get a full bag of points there. I like sprint races too, I guess. So yeah.
Hey, you did pretty well on those.
So hopefully it's a full bag of points for that one, and we can really start getting this title charge back on, because we're catching. We're getting there. A couple of good results recently, so yeah, hopefully the form stays up.
Well, best of luck then for next week. But for now, congratulations on winning the Canadian Grand Prix. Well done.
Cheers, thanks, Lane.
A shout out as well to Keem. Awesome drive, nice and consistent, no penalties, just like 40. It was just a bit unlucky that he was within DRS range of Leo all the time, sort of kept you at bay in P4, I think it was, on track. But no, really, really tidy race, kept completely out of trouble, worked well with Leo from what I could tell as well. So no, an awesome effort from the Red Bull crew as a whole. But yeah, congratulations on your P2 finish. And also to Big Al, that was a very fine drive, kept Destiel on his toes throughout the majority of the opening stint of the race. And then that opportunity for a race win was gifted to you after Destiel made that mistake during the safety car period. Of course, so it was only a slight opportunity. Those 6 seconds worth of penalties really, really did hold you back. After what happened with Destiel, you were the car to beat out in front. No one could beat you on track, but those time penalties ultimately held you back. So unlucky in terms of that, but I suppose that's just Montreal in a nutshell. This stuff happens a lot at Montreal. But that push right at the end as well guaranteed the third place, beating Leo by 61 thousandths of a second. Really wasn't much at the checkered flag, but he ended up pipping a podium. So congratulations on your P3, and I think as well you would maintain the lead in the Drivers' Championship. I'm almost more than certain. So, this is definitely heating up in the Drivers' Championship. I just wish attendance was better. Having 13 drivers attend this race, it's not great. Having 11 drivers finish is even worse. So, hopefully at Jeddah, at a more exciting racetrack like Jeddah, attendance will pick back up again. But I think with the race finally over and everything said and done, it's time for us to end the stream. I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for round 8 and the second sprint round of the championship at the Jeddah Corniche circuit for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Until then, it's goodbye.